Hello and welcome to Southeastern Perspectives, an investigation into issues, events, and destinations important to the Southeastern community. I'm Javier Amador.
And I'm Robert Mayo. In this edition of Southeastern Perspectives, we look into an increase in adolescent criminal behavior in the Hammond area.
We'll also look into Options nonprofit agency and hear about how Southeastern is making sure that students are able to acquire affordable groceries on campus.
Those stories, plus much more, coming up on Southeastern Perspectives. Lately, teen crime has been a problem in Louisiana, but especially in Ponchatoula. However, there is a group of civilians who are helping these adolescents through mentorship and cooperation with elected officials throughout the state. Reporter Kendrick Allen has more about his findings.
Drinking that they have in this town, and also there's nothing really to do, so.
Most of it has to do with bullying on social media or people going out of their way to apply pressure on somebody.
These were answers from Southeastern Louisiana University students on why they think an uptick in teen-centered violent crime is happening in areas around the campus of their school in Hammond. Sadly, this isn't news to them, as Louisiana as a whole has fallen into a constant battle against violent adolescent offenders. However, Tangipahoa has become a hotspot, as it is one of the fastest growing parts in a state that is already ranking toward the top in many statistics when it comes to jail population, crime, and arrest rates, according to the FBI and Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention. For a better grasp on how these stats have impacted the Florida parishes, I visited Joseph Dominic of the Florida Parishes Detention Center, and he had this to say about the past year.
This past year, 2025, when we've seen just an uptick in violent crime to the point of the Hammond surrounding areas and Tangipahoa Parish have seen our fair share of murders. Most of those killings have been young adults or teens.
While police try to contain this issue, civilians themselves have taken it as a call to action. The Tangipahoa African American Heritage Museum is home to the new All the King's Men initiative, a group that wants to become mentors to kids, connecting to them through experience and struggle.
I had a rough past, did a lot of stuff, that I shouldn't have did, so I feel like, I can use my story to help some of those kids that's going down the same road that I went down, maybe, save some of them from going to prison like I did, or just losing a lot of time.
While it's still in its infancy, the All the King's Men group feel as though they have cracked the code on stopping these crimes before they start, while collaborating with public figures and law enforcement on creating a safer community. The group as a whole understands that these crimes can be curbed just by being present for the youth, creating a bond with teens that don't usually get such attention.
Because the police come because they pay to come. When we step up like this voluntarily, they see that someone cares enough to not just point and say what's wrong, but to come out here with boots on the ground to say, what can we do to help? Find out is the kids that they are labeling bad are not bad at all. They are starving for attention. So sometimes the bridge that I got to cross is just to build a relationship to show them I care. And then we got a whole another child. This child act totally different because you cared.
Hello, I'm Kendrick Allen, and today I'm here with Gerald Sticker, the sheriff of Tangipahoa Parish. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, sir.
Well, first off, I just want to get into the All the King's Men initiative that you guys have been very closely working with. I would like to ask, can you tell me about the involvement that you guys have with that?
Sure. This initiative, just like several other we're involved in, is that, we're just a partner, a community partner. We don't look to come in and take charge of anything, but, we have an important role to play, and we have a lot at stake, and it's the public safety of our communities.
And you have actually a very close relationship with this community. Being a graduate of Ponchatoula High School, I mean, I can't say anything about it. I'm from New Orleans. But you were in that position at one point. So how much does it mean to you as someone who's from out here, who's born, bred out here, to see the advancement of the youth?
No, absolutely. I grew up in a little community of BDCO, and went to Ponchatoula High School, and there was not a room for a lot of upward mobility. There were not a lot of programs for the youth, but I see it across. We have Tangipahoa is a very rural parish. It's a very large parish. We have our big cities here, like we are in the middle of Hammond, in Amite, Ponchatoula, and so on. But when you get outside of the incorporated areas, a lot of it's impoverished, and there are not a lot of opportunities. And so, but that is where the crime is happening. We see those communities disproportionately offending. We see them disproportionately victimized, and they're not coming to us, and so we have to come to them. And I would rather come to them before trouble happens than after the trouble happens.
Yep. And on that same note, you have over 25 years in the law enforcement industry. Can you walk us through how someone so young, the 13, 14, 15 range, would go down that path of getting themselves into trouble?
Sure. We see, and I think the statistics across the country have proven it out. We have, over the years, progressively have had, we've seen an increase in single family, homes, divorce rates. There's no role models in there. And so we, and when we, the prior generations, we didn't have to contend with social media. Bullying has been around for, forever. But, and previous generations, when they got out of class that day, when they got off the bus that afternoon, they didn't have to contend with it until they got back to school the next day. And now, through these mobile devices, it's following them in their bedrooms. And it gives these ill-guided youth a platform. In, the culture that we live in has made role models out of some not very good role models. And they think it's okay to, post a video with a gun or with money or, drugs or whatever, and gangs are promoted. And so, that has a big impact on those young minds. Their cognitive, thought process isn't in place. My experience, we're all at that age at one time, and, youth tend to see what's right here in front of them. They don't have the big picture yet. And, things that as a mature adult, we could brush off. It's real world to them because they're living it, and their perception is their reality, and that's all that matters. And so, early on in my career as a law enforcement officer, I had great supervision, and it was ingrained in me as a patrol officer that, the neighborhoods that you're policing as a patrol officer, I wasn't a police chief yet, I wasn't the sheriff yet, but as a patrol officer, that's your communities. You need to get to know them before something bad happens so they can trust you to come to you when there's a potential problem brewing. And so, I was blessed just with good leadership early on in my career that gave me that perspective, and I've seen it vet out numerous times over the years where I had the relationships established with people in the community where they felt comfortable coming to me, and we stopped a lot more problems than we had to ultimately solve.
You would like for TPSO to strengthen your partnership with civilians, and you would like to strengthen your partnership within the community. And would you say that along with these organizations, becoming mentors for those kids will bring down the crime rate for adolescents?
No, ultimately, yeah. It's a partnership, and it's we do our job in law enforcement, and we all know that over the last several years, law enforcement has gotten a bad reputation, and some of that's warranted. Some of it we, as a profession, we've brought on ourselves. But we're also doing a lot of things right. I say, but particularly within the media platform, we land a lot more planes than we crash, and but it's the crash that gets all the attention. And I think as previously my role as police chief, and now especially my role as sheriff, is being transparent. We have stepped up our game big time on the social media platform, with cultivating relationships, holding deputies accountable, I'm one of the staunchest protectors of my people when they're right, but when they do wrong, I'm the first one on their 1 yard line. And the public sees that. The public understands that, look, law enforcement officers, we're human. And so we're going to make mistakes too. But when you don't hold them accountable is when you tend to lose that public trust. So on our front, I feel that we have done a great job doing our part with the transparency and the accountability. And once you have that in place, the public sees it, then you get opportunities like we're experiencing right now, where there's like, this sheriff is trying to make our community safe. Let's engage him. And that's a blessing.
It is. And right now we are going through a point where Tangipahoa is becoming one of the fastest growing parishes in Louisiana. So there will be more youth. There will be more families, whether they are two-parent, one-parent, anything.
Mm-hmm.
What would you just say to anyone who is moving in and wants to have a good upbringing for their child?
Well, I think, and you're right, over the last 20 years, our parish has grown over 30% in population. Post-Katrina, we had a big explosion and growth in population. Ida added to that. But there's always been a continual migration because people are wanting to come to a more rural area so that they could have a better quality of life for their family. And, the two reasons that people move into communities primarily is good education and public safety. And so, again, just having those relationships. But when you get that growth, it's a numbers game, right? The more people you have, the more problems you're going to have. And inevitably, they bring those problems with them when they come. And, we're going to do our part, but I tell every group that I talk to, any lasting change needs to start at the bottom. It needs to start inside that family unit. They need to be solid. That block needs to be solid. Their neighborhood needs to be solid. The town, the city will ultimately, need to be solid. Because as the sheriff or the governor or the president or whatever it's coming from, any sustainable change is never going to come from the top down. It's going to have to come from the bottom up. And so that's when I said to begin with, I'm not here to run anything. I'm not here to take charge of anything. I'm here to be a partner. I'm here to help them do everything that we can to help them do better for themselves. And so once that platform is laid, that foundation's laid, it's going to be a solid foundation. And it ain't going to happen overnight. We didn't get here overnight. And so you build that solid foundation, and it's one family at a time, one person at a time. And but you got to be persistent, and you can never give up.
You're right. It's truly a village raises the child instead
Absolutely.
Of everyone else. And is there anything else you'd like to say?
Sure. Yeah. We are, we work with other organizations that are already in place. The Second Saturday Awareness Group, it's a long-term organization, and they're in tune with what's going on throughout our communities. And we have a good working relationship with them. And this sheriff's office, under my leadership, has continued our monthly prayer breakfast. And it's another opportunity for us to be in a different community every month talking to people, because more than likely the average person, they live in a bubble. They go to work, their kids go to school, and they come back home at the end of the day. And the average citizen is never going to be affected by crime, and they're never going to take the time to come to my office. And so, these public meetings, the public events that we attend, the stuff that we host for the public, every bit of it is an opportunity, and they take full advantage of it while they're in front of me to say, hey, it happened just this morning at, the local coffee shop here in downtown Hammond. I was there getting a coffee, and a lady says, I've been meaning to, to come see you, but this is what I have going on. And I got her information, and we've passed it down. And so it's just, we're never going to solve anything if we're not present. And I am a servant leader. I don't lead from the front office. I like to be in the trenches, and that's just who I am as a leader. And we have a great group of men and women at the Tangipahoa Parish Sheriff's Office. We have a great working relationship with the campus police here and all our other municipalities across the parish. Just like those relationships, we have those relationships within law enforcement at the local level, state police, and with our federal partners. And because I'm just smart enough to know that none of this we can do on our own. It's going to take everybody pulling the same direction.
And you're right. And thank you for coming on today.
Well,
it's been great talking to you.
It's an honor. I appreciate the platform.
Of course. I'm Kendrick Allen with Sheriff Sticker, and we will be back with more Southeastern Perspectives.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
And we'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight.
Skylar, come here.
Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
This segment of Southeastern Perspectives is made possible through the kind support of the Northshore Community Foundation. You can make a difference. We make it easy.
Options was founded over 50 years ago to support individuals with developmental disabilities, helping them live more independent, meaningful lives within their communities.
We were founded in 1973 by Mary Perosco. She's very familiar to the Southeastern family. I'm sure you've heard of her. She moved to Hammond in 1972, I believe. And her son Stephen needed services for, he has a profound intellectual disability. She looked around, there really wasn't anything available for him at the time, so she started the services.
The Oscar J. Thomas Wellness Plaza is a central hub for services offering health, wellness, and support programs designed to enhance quality of life for participants.
So that was a project that we took on a few years ago. It was funded by the Oscar J. Thomas Charitable Trust. They have been a longtime supporter of Options, but about 10 or 15 years ago, we really started to focus on health and wellness for people with disabilities. There are a lot of areas in life for people with disabilities, that can be challenging. There are, barriers to full inclusion and, access to some services, and health and wellness is one of those things. Traditionally with disabilities, we kind of focus on the medical model, but we really need to focus on health and wellness. So we repurposed an area on our campus with grant funding from the Oscar J. Thomas Charitable Trust. We have adaptable exercise equipment, so it can be used for people with mobility issues, people who use wheelchairs. It's very disability-friendly exercise equipment. And it was sort of at the request of a lot of the people who receive services here too, because they get very excited about a basketball game that we have every September, and they want to stay in shape for it. So in addition to the opportunities that the local gyms provide, we wanted to provide some opportunity on this campus as well.
After Hurricane Ida, Options provided critical support like housing, resources, and care coordination, balancing urgent needs while continuing to serve all individuals safely and effectively.
Well, so this is I'm so glad you asked. This is an area that really goes unnoticed. And a lot of people are just completely unaware of what it takes to take care of somebody with a disability during a natural disaster. So we've been doing it, for a very long time. Ida was probably the longest challenge that we had. Even Hurricane Katrina didn't go on quite as long as Ida did. We provide complete support to people during a natural disaster. We have a shelter here on our campus. It was built with grant funding, and we use it every day as offices in a day program area. But the primary purpose was to provide a safe place for people with disabilities during a natural disaster, especially a hurricane. We operated that shelter for 21 days during, 17 days. I'm confusing it with 2021. 17 days during Hurricane Ida. So we sheltered about 50 people, people with disabilities and their caregivers. We also operate 3 community homes as shelters that are fully generator equipped, have all the supplies they need. It is a 24/7 job any day, but when there's a hurricane, it's particularly challenging. It can be very scary for people with disabilities. The folks that we have with us here now who lived through Hurricane Katrina, who were sleeping on school gym floors without access to any sort of adaptive equipment. It was very, very challenging.
Options partners with local Hammond businesses to create job opportunities, build community connections, and promote inclusion for the individuals they serve.
Many of those businesses donate, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. They support us in so many ways. Providing opportunities for people with disabilities was really one of the primary ways. And I can give you a few examples of that, right? So Southeastern is a great example. So we've had contracts with Southeastern for probably going on 30 years to provide employment for people with disabilities. That's one of our longest running partnerships, and it's incredible. First Community Bank provides employment to people with disabilities supported by Options. We have Spoga Fitness Center and North Cypress Fitness Center, who are both super strong supporters and provide space and opportunity for people with disabilities to access their facilities and participate in fitness activities. It's phenomenal. We have restaurants who host our groups and welcome us with open arms throughout the community. The list is truly endless, and I feel like I'm leaving everybody out because I can only name a few, but it's incredible to see the support.
It is also important to understand how you can be involved and engaged at Options.
Learn about what we do, tell other people about what we do. This is such important work in this community, and historically people with disabilities are not recognized and fully included in their communities, and we want to change that. And that's important for every individual person. We as an agency can make an impact by doing things like this, right? Telling you guys about what we do. We're out there, on the speaking circuit. We'll go to any club. We'll go anywhere you ask us to go. We'll do any interview you want us to do, because we need people in this community to know about what we do. So if you're watching this, spread the word. Go visit our website. Watch some of our story videos.
For Southeastern Perspectives, I'm Javier Amador.
With grocery store prices rising and only getting higher due to inflation rates, Southeastern is making sure that its community is taken care of with Roomie's Pride Pantry by providing a location that is easy to access and has affordable food. The university ensures its students are taken care of. Reporter Katie Overby has more to say on the matter.
For over a decade, Roomie's Pride Pantry has been a resource to those in need.
We opened 2013 when Southeastern realized the need that we had for students here, especially over the breaks. Anytime we're open, we're accepting donations. People can also donate through Venmo, through the foundation website. Even staff, employees, Southeastern employees, they can donate as well through their payroll. And we do encourage people to come on Wednesdays and Fridays to donate. We do have regular donors who come here. Some even come every month to donate, and we also have people who have scheduled deposits through the foundation monthly too.
So we offer a wide variety of items. We offer vegetable soups, we offer canned greens, we offer ramen, we offer anything with regard to canned protein, such as Vienna sausages, canned tuna, canned chicken, cereals, snacks. We even offer supply items such as menstrual products, toothbrush, toothpaste, etc. Anything within the realm of general materials as well. So our office also puts on grocery trips. We typically have them before breaks that occur throughout the semester, like right before. So for an example, we have one this upcoming Thursday before Mardi Gras, and we will have one right before spring break, and we also have a few others during the semester as well.
While the pantry is not open during holidays, there are other accommodations put into place.
What we do have in place is we do have food bags in which you can call UPD, and then they can bring you up to the upstairs closet within McGee Hall, and they give you a bag. We are open during the summer though. I will say working here does kind of provide a perspective for those, for anyone wanting to get exposed to, just helping others on campus who might be in a position in which they might need to rely on a food pantry. So it really enables, just being cross-communal with everyone on campus. I can speak on behalf of those who come through here that it has been a huge help to them.
Reporting with Southeastern Perspectives, I'm Katie Overby.
We'll be right back with more Southeastern Perspectives.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire. How to control the flames. What to do with hot coals. How to secure your chains.
There's no sparks.
But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
This segment of Southeastern Perspectives is made possible through the kind support of Tangipahoa Parish Tourism, your guide to the crossroads of Louisiana.
Tangipahoa Parish is home to the strawberry capital of the world and the premier destination for family fun and adventure. Whether you're looking to visit one of our historic museums, grab a bite to eat at our amazing restaurants, or attend an exciting local event, there's always something to do in Tangipahoa Parish. Tangipahoa Tourism is proud to support the Southeastern Channel in its mission to educate and inspire young media professionals right here in Tangipahoa Parish, the crossroads of Louisiana.
Welcome back to Southeastern Perspectives. Have you ever wanted to experience both a piece of Louisiana history and a relaxing getaway just a short drive across Tangipahoa Parish? Well, Michobel Inn is the place for you. Reporter Tanner Dufresne has more on this historic Louisiana landmark.
The historic Michobel Inn is a charming event center and bed and breakfast located in the heart of Hammond, Louisiana. This inn is renowned for its rich history, cuisine, and of course, its hospitality. However, there is still much to be discussed. Luckily, I was able to sit down with the general manager and owner of the historic inn to find out more about this charming piece of Louisiana history.
Well, the property was purchased by us in 1998. It was originally built in 1905 by one of three physicians that came from New Orleans, the McGee family. They built the first hospital in the parish, which was across the street here. That was the only hospital in the parish until they built the current hospital. These guys were built a place for people to take the cure for yellow fever. And Dr. McGee ran his practice out of this house until he passed. It stayed his family until we bought it in 1998. So even though the house is 121 years old, it's only had 2 owners, and we're the second owners.
The estate features 2 places where events can be held, the pavilion and the main dining room inside of the main house.
Over 300, about 340 people seated in the ballroom, about 45 in the 2 dining rooms here.
Michbel Inn hosts a variety of events ranging from
primarily weddings, but second to that, parties. And then finally corporate events, people who want to get together for seminars, things like that.
The menu at the inn, while extensive, specializes in standard Louisiana classics.
Popular things, it really varies one year to the next. Tastes change. And if you're in business long enough, you start to see that. What people drink changes, what they want to eat changes. But, obviously the standards, are always good. People like our jambalaya quite a bit, our gumbo, the more sort of traditional Louisiana fare.
While Michbel's is open year-round, there is a particular time of year that is busiest. Once the cold fades and the flowers bloom, visitors flock to the inn.
It really depends, because essentially we operate 2 businesses here. We have a special event venue. We do primarily special events, but we also have an 8-room bed and breakfast, more of a hotel here. So as far as the hotel goes, we're very busy when the snowbirds are going back and forth from Florida to Texas or vice versa. This is a busy time of year for us, obviously. And then for the event business, starting spring and fall. People, in the summer in Louisiana, our summer's the winter they have up north. Nobody wants to go out or do anything, so we do less business then.
Beyond the inn, there is the Creole Cottage, a building separate from the main house that contains larger accommodations for any travelers looking for luxury.
Just the property, there was a rental house on the property, and once we got the food and beverage space and the rooms underway here and operating, we converted that to guest rooms as well.
Each visitor has their preference of room, but that extends to the owner as well. David Bradley, who's partial to the Orleans Suite.
In the house, I like the Marie Antoinette room the best. It's on the southeastern corner of the building, so you get the morning sun. It's very nice, and have a good view of the oak tree. And then probably, I'd say, the Orleans Suite. It's larger, it's on the end. It's a living room and a bedroom to go.
Reporting for Southeastern Perspectives, I'm Tanner Dufresne.
Southeastern has a long history of alumni staying active after graduation, and that continues with the 2026 Alumni Art Exhibition. I interviewed the director about her vision for the gallery and also some of the alumni that were featured to get more information about their works and the exhibit as a whole. Southeastern's art department has educated graduates and given them the tools for successful careers for over 60 years. And while alumni leave Southeastern as capable artists, they never leave our community. So an event celebrating those who graduated and continued creating was a perfect way to bring their artistic talents back to SLU. Art Gallery Director Christina Molina sought to host an exhibition that honors alumni and their creations, while also showing current students what a career in art personified might look like.
How these artists now can impact our current students and form bridges between not only the production side, the work that they're making, but also interpersonal relationships. I think it's really important for students to see artists in the world making their art outside of school, but coming from the very same place that they are now and seeing themselves in that trajectory, right? Imagining the possibilities of what they can do once they graduate.
Megan Smith from the class of 2018 submitted an artful interpretation of a hurricane that one might see on the Weather Channel. Smith shared Professor Molina's thoughts on the importance of alumni returning to Southeastern.
I think it's important as alumni to come back and show current artists, you can still make art, even after you leave Southeastern, but you can still make art.
While the gallery is an excellent way to display current and former students' artworks, they didn't always have the gallery in its current state to display their pieces. Professor Dale Newkirk, former department head, transformed the building into what it is today.
I found a donor who donated $5,000, and over that break, me and some workstation students built the current walls that we have in there, which are mobile and on wheels that can move around, and established what is now the Contemporary Art Gallery.
That very building has a long and colorful history. Built originally as a ballroom to host student dances, it has changed designs and functions several times. Professor Newkirk goes further into detail on the building's past.
The art gallery, before it was a gallery, it was the bookstore of the university, and then before it was a dance hall before that, and part of the sort of alumni offerings on campus. So they had a faculty lounge on each end. There were fireplaces. They had dances, public events. They may have even had graduation in there at some point. I'm not really sure, but it was a public space, a big open public space.
Another alumni, Janina Biondini, found that seeing artists in their careers after leaving Southeastern was integral to current students' journeys.
And I think it's good too for the students that are currently here to see that not only like, oh, I'm going through this like currently, but it's also like it continues and people do make it work. And people that have graduated from 65 are still making art today, and I think that's like so refreshing.
Many other artists submitted their works to the event, such as Danielle Jones. She wrote, "The pieces deal with themes of destruction, repair, and rebuilding. There's a strange energy in preparing for something you can never truly be prepared for." Professor Molina, through her layout of the pieces throughout the gallery, was able to create unique and inspiring narratives through each artist's submissions, often in ways that told new stories altogether.
So when I'm designing the layout, I'm thinking of materiality, I'm thinking of color palette, formal things that is happening within the work visually, but I'm also thinking about content. What is this work about? What is the subject matter? And how do I put those artworks in relation to one another?
Professor Newkirk also gave me his take on the alumni exhibition.
I thought that was an excellent show that Christina Molina put together. It was wonderful how it spanned a great deal of time. You know, that most of them were people from the last 10 years, but it was really rewarding and fulfilling to see that. There was really some strong work in that show, and that is a reflection of the faculty and the work that they're doing with the students that come here.
Professor Molina's intentions with this show were to celebrate artists and their works, honor the art department, and bring students and alumni together. It seems she did just that. Students will hopefully have the chance to see careers in art personified at future exhibitions, as new displays are hosted every month. For Southeastern Perspectives, I'm Robert Mayo.
That's all for this episode of Southeastern Perspectives. Join us next time for another in-depth look at issues, events, and destinations important to Southeastern and beyond. I'm Javier Amador.
And I'm Robert Mayo. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.